Hello, happy Saturday. Welcome back. Welcome to Karma on Deck. I'm Karma. This is your weekly tarot reading for the sign of Virgo. So I'm got some things coming up. So let me see if we can get through this for you guys. Today has been one of those runaway days, right? FML has been the quote phrase of the morning. So theme of the day is FML. That's everybody's like, oh my God, one more thing. So if you're feeling a little bit of that zing, I would suggest you breathe through it. That's all we can do, guys. So I personally had some zing this morning and set me off a couple hours. Complete plan redesign and restructure. And this is the epitome of Mercury retrograde. We tell ourselves to plan for it. Now, here's the truth. The world doesn't stop because Mercury does a little dance in the sky, and neither does life. And, you know, it's high time that we stop blaming everything on Mercury retrograde and recognizes it happens 3 times a year. So, and it goes on for 6 or 8 weeks. It's not like the full moon that happens for 3 days and then we're done. Mercury retrograde plays with us and it teaches us things. And I think the most important thing that Mercury has taught me, because I was born during Mercury retrograde, so I think the world goes right for me once every 3 months instead of the other way around. Just kidding, I'm not going to own that. But it's like it's like my power time for me, but it's also much more intense. So the thing to remember about Mercury retrograde, I always call it the proving ground. This is where the rubber meets the road, where you really see how your structures are set up and whether you have the capacity to navigate. Like, do you have extra time and extra money and extra emotions to deal with little problems, and how you're navigating your EQ. You know, I was prepared and made a couple backup plans for my trip, and so therefore I had less stress than I expected I would have when plans did get foobarred, right? So FML first thing the day before a trip. So breathe and surrender, right? Okay, 7 of Swords right here, which is, that's okay, TV. I'm just getting started, so that was just my little intro, so you're good. First thing that comes up is 7 of Swords. Now, Leo had the card where the tension's building. For you, it's just going to be releasing. So if you're feeling the tension now, I'm seeing that you've already stepped up and set some boundaries, right? You've spoken to it already, so this could look like an argument or a fight. It could also be like crossing swords. Literally, they're two opposing sides. That's your opposition, where you're coming into play with, nope, we're not doing this. You guys have the 4 of Wands as well, which talks to us about structure, the 4 pillars of your life, right? This is your work-life balance. This is making sure your money, your home, your build, like your things are structured, and that you're bringing in the base and the foundation. So coming from this foundation, you've been setting yourself some boundaries. The 5 of Swords often can mean fight. But in this respect, it's more on a positive note and aspect, because we have the 7 of Swords, which is things getting easier. We have this boundary going right here. So this is like, I say sometimes, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see this card, the 3 of Cups in here, where it talks about keeping your circle small, making sure that you have the kind of people you can trust and that have integrity around you. I'm seeing the Knight of Cups, and the Knight of Cups talks to us about emotions. So you've got these bubbling emotions, and you're not navigating is the word I'm using today, I guess, my go-to for you, Virgo, which it's like you have these bubbling emotions. It's kind of like how ladies feel during that couple weeks where things are hormonal and we're just running rich, like we're about to, okay? Doesn't mean that you have, just means that you're feeling a little bit emotional. They're not negative, they're not angry. It's just, whew, things are coming up to the surface. Again, another card indicating a big release or a bubble popping is this 8 of Cups. So emotionally, these whole purging emotions that are coming up are going to clear. You're going to see some beautiful personal internal balance coming up from that. You have the 6 of Wands, and that has to do with you being surprised by some money that's coming your way. I always call this like a surplus. So if you're waiting for some money to come in, you can see the little diamond here. This tells us there's a surplus or a bonus or a check coming. Or, you know, for me, the last time I saw this card in a reading for Capricorn, literally I didn't have to pay a bill because they were like, oh, your insurance, blah, 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 and we won't hear from you for a couple months. So this means like a loosening of the belt, a nice pleasant surprise, and it almost always has to do with money. But this can be a surplus, and that could look like anything that makes things a little bit easier. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 cards that have to do with things getting easier. Queen of Cups, more beautiful emotions. So they're going to go from out of whack to feeling a little bit more like full, but they're going to feel very much, intense. Okay. So we also have the 4 of Swords, where you're going to worry about the other shoe dropping still. So you have some deadlines and some things that are making you feel as if there are timelines, restrictions, deadlines, pressure. So there is a little bit of pressure that's going on. Your only need for that is to speak to it, because you have a lot of celebration, fun things that are coming up, and you can really expect to see some joy and pleasure and exciting things that are going on for you there. Because you have the Six of Cups, which is celebration and travel. And then you also have the Nine of Cups, which is like birthday, fun, etc. So for you, I would say that even though you're feeling a little tense, you can expect some really fun times. So maybe it's Halloween, you have something coming up for Samhain where you're going to celebrate and enjoy the family, and you're looking forward to a get together. When, you know, we're all looking forward to something fun right now. I had a better time than I expected at the outdoor festival I was hired to do the other day. You know, I'm thinking, here we go, a bunch of kids, a lot of noise, it's outside, how do I focus? No pressure, a bunch of people watching, right? But it ended up being a really good time. And I think if you have some fun things that are coming up, dive on into them, dance a little bit, play, because I see this coming for you. You guys have this mapping card, the moon card, where, you know, Virgo is looking at, thinking about planning and nurturing their future and building and growing and planting seeds, because the moon card is, you know, this idea of fear, where we worry about what could possibly happen, and that's not a bad thing. Fear teaches us to look at our structure and what our habits are. And so I'm seeing you really want to do better with that. You haven't made a plan, but that's your idea. But first, let's get this emotional composite back into alignment and start to get a little bit more balance right here with your Seven of Cups. So enjoy getting recalibrated this next week. You'll have moments of intensity that I'm seeing, and a lot of emotions is what's coming up for you. And I'm not saying negative emotions, so please don't equate the two. Just because you're feeling emotional doesn't mean you're out of control, but dive deep, see what they have to tell you. My daughter makes this quote all the time where she talks about, you know, have your emotions and fully process how you feel about something before you think about what that item is, because it's deeply intuitive to look where those emotional roots are coming from. Let me shuffle real quick with the Mystic Dreamer deck, and let's look at your Virgo moon reading. For those of you that aren't a Virgo moon, you can look at this portion of the reading as your relationship spread, how you're feeling about your relationships of all kinds. Please book your one-on-one, karmaondeck.com. And please join me on YouTube. I would love your support on my YouTube, Karma on Deck. You can see the picture in pictures. It is my favorite platform. And you guys know that over here on YouTube, don't you? All right, kids, here we go. This is your Virgo moon reading. Six of Cups. So that card came up for, it's so funny to me how they go congruent from one sign to the next in alignment. The Six of Cups was a focus of Leo, where it's about nostalgia, okay? And so you have this conflict that's going on in your head where you're feeling as if it's a personal affront as well, because Leo had some of that same energy. But you're really looking at betrayal. You're looking at how people are treating you, and you're just starting to, and it's judgment, okay? There's a difference between being judgmental and having good judgment, but in your judgment, you're seeing that people aren't carrying their weight. And so Virgo's taking this opportunity to come from a defensive standpoint in order to prevent an environment where someone can take advantage. So you have the Seven of Wands. She's got her weapons out, and she's standing right here, and she's just like, I'm going to make sure that I'm covered. That doesn't mean we're getting our weapons out, smacking anybody. She's like literally not like hauling out with it, but she's got it in hand. And so there's nothing wrong with being prepared for the worst case scenario. Just living in, you know, Chicken Little can get nerve-wracking over time. But I do see that Virgo's a little bit more overwhelmed with the events that are going on around them right now than usual. It just seems like a lot. And again, the main focus is how things look for you. Virgo's really concerned about how things are appearing to others. Not the same as feeling that heat we were talking about, but it does feel as if you want to get your outward appearance, how things look. Whether you're composed or not is another huge one. But with the Four of Pentacles and the Ten of Swords in play, and also the Nine of Swords, which is an important card that tells me you have this runaway brain. So you have this Nine of Swords, which is like, I'm laying up at bed and I'm in bed and I'm thinking about all the things that I have to do, haven't done, could happen, could do, and scenarios. This also can refer to someone who's working nights, but often it means insomnia. So if you're having restless sleep, and depending on the personal reading, it could be, lucid dream state. But I'm seeing harvest too, 7 of Pentacles, which means in due time. So there's no rushing that's allowed to go on for you right here. The Hanged Man is in play, which tells us that so if you think about the Hanged Man, a lot of people think noose and the neck and a guy in a tree. And yes, it's a guy in a tree or between two pillars, but he's beautifully strung by his feet in this peaceful moment where he's got his arms crossed, where he's stinking pouting. If you look at him, he's pouting. Okay, where it's like he's pouting and he's stuck and there's nothing you can do. So this means pause. So there's magic in the pauses. The seed needs quiet. It needs privacy. It needs all of these different things. Hold on, I got a baby at the door. So I have these, sorry, all of these beautiful emotions that are coming up. Sorry, I got distracted where I was at. Oh yeah, so the beautiful pauses. So we're talking about the Hangman, where it's like, there's these pauses. A seed needs its time, needs its space. And pauses, like putting in for a house and waiting for your approval, can be frustrating, or going to court and waiting for an answer, or, putting in for a job that you have to wait for. Sometimes those pauses have to do with timing. So just breathe, relax, take your time, and recalibrate. I want to thank you guys for your patience today and for hanging out with me. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Love and light. You know what I always say, love on it. You can't go wrong. Thank you so much. Talk to you later. Jameson snoring like the